How did I not know this before now? Stick around and we'll get right to it. Hey, welcome back guys. Jason, Cam4ACK. Back out here for a short, maybe 2-mile hike this morning, and wanted to test out something new that I learned and bring you guys along. Now, you probably saw the video from roughly 3 months ago where I was testing out a new small kit. It's like 5 pounds, maybe just over 5 pounds. Well, I'm out here today to do some more testing with that particular kit. Now, I'll go ahead and tell you right up front that this is going to be an APRS and a Winlink video. We're going to be doing a little bit of Winlink using APRS, believe it or not. All right, I'm not exactly sure where we were. I got sidetracked helping a gentleman with his wheel that came off of his mountain bike here on the trail. But I believe what we were talking about is going out and doing Winlink and APRS with a super light setup. And all things old kind of become new again. And I was poking around at something called APRS Link just a day or two ago. And it's a way to interact with the Winlink servers using APRS. We're going to cover all this in just a second. Now, if you've watched any of my old videos, I've told you before that you definitely want to use this as kind of a last resort because it is definitely a janky way to interact with the Winlink servers. At the same time, I think it's worth knowing just in case all you've got with you is an APRS radio and you want to get out a Winlink message. All right, check out the radio setup here. I've literally hung my HT in a tree, and then we're using that tall telescopic, I believe that's an old MFJ antenna. I've also got a roll-up J-pole if I needed it, but it looks like this is going to do the trick. I'm hearing packets with this particular setup. So sometimes you do what you got to do out in the field to get your signal out. By the way, I think it was Josh from Ham Radio Crash Course that turned me on to this tomato wire. This stuff is really, really awesome. It's dirt cheap, and it's something just really cool to keep in your pack for situations such as this. All right, so I'm in APRS Droid, and I'm in the messaging section, and I'm going to choose that one that says WLNK-1. We'll go ahead and touch on that, and you can see that I've been interacting with this earlier this morning, just playing with some stuff. But all we're going to do is we're going to send PR. The PR is for position report. So this is going to file a Winlink position report for us. So after you're logged in, and I'll show you guys in a minute how to log in case you don't know how to do that because it is kind of a little wonky system. But once you know the trick to it, it's not too bad at all. But let's go ahead and send that. I'm just going to send green. Beautiful day for a hike. I'll go ahead and click the OK button. That's going to send that message out. Now, I am helping myself as much as I can out here. I actually left my truck radio on, and it is serving as an extra digipeater. I did that because I wasn't positive I could get into the primary digipeaters in this area. So by having that digipeater turned on in my truck, that gives me just a little bit extra power when I'm trying to get out. Now, one kind of cool thing about this, if we go out of this and we go look at our message, you can see right here in green that it's sent out. And that's probably my reply coming back in. But you can look through this list and make sure that your signal definitely got digipeated. Let's go check those messages again. And no, that was actually a message from somebody else. W4HOO, so thanks for the message, man. So we'll just go ahead and respond to Mike there and let him know that I'm filming. I'll probably include this in this video just for the fun of it. But let's give this a minute or two and let's make certain that that position report definitely gets posted from my current location. And as you can see right there on the screen, the PR green message that I sent went from a dark green to a brighter green, and then I got a reply from the system saying position report submitted successfully. So I know that my position report has been filed. Now, we're going to go ahead and go back to the house because I'll be right underneath my digipeater and the signals will come through a lot quicker when I'm sitting right underneath my digipeater at home. I'll show you guys exactly how to log in and some other things that you can do with this APRS link. All right, so before we get any deeper into this, let me show you guys how the login works. When you send a message to WLNK-1, the very first time, it's going to respond and it's going to give you something like login, and then it'll say something like 421. And these numbers are what you've got to use to log in with. Now let me show you exactly how that works. All right, so let's assume that your password is Big Dog. Now, you'll notice under that, I have put numbers underneath for each letter. Now remember, 421 was our challenge. So what we've got to do is come up with these letters. So the fourth letter is D, the second letter is I, and the first letter is B. Now here's the cool part about that. You don't have to put these letters or numbers, if that happens to be the case, in any particular order. But you also add 3 additional random characters to this. So your response might be DIB, and then we could put BOD in capital letters behind it. You could also put DIB B12 over here. Any of this would work because we've got these 3 characters in there. If you want to mix it up a little bit more, you could do something like B, I, D, B. Notice these 3 characters are still all in here. They don't have to be in order, and there can be other characters between them. But let's say we put that, and then we put 2, 1 in here. Well, now you've still got the right response to the challenge of 421. So that's the way you log in. I will leave a link down in the description below to APRS Link, which is what this system is called, so that you can read a little bit more about this particular password challenge. But I just wanted to show you that before we dove any deeper into using APRS Link. All right, so let me show you guys a few other things with this APRS Link. I'm going back into that same message we were using when we were out in the field, WLNK-1. And the first thing I'm going to do is send it a question mark. The question mark is going to return all of the commands that we could possibly use to interact with this system. So you'll notice the whole list right there. And this list is actually what led me to find that you could do this position report. If you want to know more about a particular command, let's take the SMS command right there. That's not exactly what you think. You can go ahead and give it a question mark and then followed by the command itself. So we'll do question mark SMS, give that a second, and that's going to return the exact way we use that command. And so it's a short message, so send short message is what SMS stands for in this particular case. So to send that, we simply do SMS, and I tell you what, we'll just aggravate old Kenny here for a minute. So KC4 OJS. And we'll send him hello from YouTube land. Once you've done that, just go ahead and press the OK button. You'll notice, though, I've got SMS, I've got his call sign because I know that he's active on Winlink, and then the very short message that you want to send him. And we'll go ahead and press OK, and we'll get a response here in just a second that tells us that the message has been sent. Now, let's take a look at listing the current messages. To do that, we just use the L command and go ahead and send that. That is going to return any messages that are still sitting on the Winlink servers waiting to be read. So you can see that I've got a test message right there. That's number 1. I believe there's at least 1 more in there, maybe 2 more in there, but we'll see if we get any more responses. And I guess I was wrong. That's the only one because I did check my Winlink from my main station in my shack a few minutes ago. But if we wanted to read that number 1 message, we just send it R space and the number 1. And that is going to return that entire message to us broken up into small APRS-sized packets. And you can start to see the message coming in there. It was a test message. That's just one that I sent to myself. And it says, greetings, YouTube viewers. And then it would go ahead and list out the rest of that message. Now, kind of be careful with this. I don't know if there's a limit on how many packets it will send you. So if it was a really long email, you could be sitting here waiting for a few minutes to get everything back to your phone. Now I want to show you one more way to use this before we wrap this up. So we're going to go ahead and use the question mark again to get a list of those commands. And the one that we're going to use this time is SP. All right, somehow I broke the system. I had to log out, change my SSID, and log back in. I have no clue why that happened. But let's go ahead, and I've sent the question mark, gotten back a list of commands. Let's take a look at that SP command. So we'll send question mark space SP and give that just a second to come back. That is going to be the command to send a new Winlink message, and we can do more of a long form message instead of doing a very short message like we did with the SMS command. So you'll see that it tells us we can send a message by giving SP the address or alias and the subject. So we'll go ahead and do SP. The address that we're going to use, whoop, I hit SO, SP, let's do test for the address. Now, just in case you don't know this, if you send a Winlink message to test, the reflector is going to pick that up and send that right back to you. So we'll go ahead and send test, or send this to test, and then we'll say for the video as the subject line. We'll go ahead and send that. We'll give it just a second to make sure that we get an acknowledgement. And now it tells us that the new message to test@winlink.org is ready to go. And all you have to send is /EX when you get finished with your text. So give me a second, I'll show you what that looks like. All right, so taking a look at the screen, you can see that I've sent 4 different individual messages here. This is a Winlink message sent using APRS Link during the filming of a YouTube video. Now that we've got everything we want there, we're simply going to send it /EX to end that message. We should get a response here in just a second telling us that the message has been sent. And there we go. We've got that message sent to test@winlink.org. So it's a little bit of a clunky system to use, but sometimes you might be in range of an APRS digipeater when you're not in range of a Winlink gateway. And this just gives you one more tool that you could possibly use in order to get that message out if you really needed to. Guys, I appreciate you tuning in today. If you found today's information helpful, be sure to give us a thumbs up before you head off. We will see you guys on the next one. Until then, 7-3.